This next section is on DNA research that has been conducted over the last 4 years in regard to the Book of Mormon and its geography. Many people have expressed interest in doing genealogical research, and as they've done so, some of them have told me that they've experienced things that they weren't quite expecting in doing their research. Such as this gentleman here. It was a little bit of a shock when they found out that this was one of their ancestors. This information on the DNA in this section, I have had folks who have seen the previous research said this is a little bit like the Isaiah sections in the Book of Mormon. It's a little bit hard to get through, but nevertheless it is important information. And there is new information that is very compelling as well. This is a quick overview of DNA as far as what it is. We're not going to go into any detail as far as the DNA, but just know this, that the human mitochondrion is an extranuclear organelle, having DNA that exists as a circular molecule 16,569 base pairs in length, in which all nucleotide positions and coding loci are known. Because this DNA is uniquely maternally inherited and unlike nuclear DNA, does not recombine, all changes in mitochondrial DNA sequences are the result of accumulated mutations inherited from mother to daughter. In addition, mitochondrial DNA mutates an order of magnitude faster than does nuclear DNA, with the control region mutating at an even greater rate, making it particularly useful for analysis at shallow time depths. What does all that mean? Basically, what it means is this. When you have nuclear DNA, it gets recombined every generation with mothers and fathers. Mitochondrial DNA is passed maternally through the mothers to their children. And then it's not recombined with the father's DNA into the children. And so that's what makes it more diagnostic for doing type of analysis that we're going to be talking about here. This is from Nature, January 1987. Mitochondrial DNAs from 147 people, drawn from 5 geographic populations, has been analyzed. All these mitochondrial DNA stem from one woman who is postulated to have lived about 200,000 years ago, probably in Africa. Where did the figure 200,000 come from? Took a little bit of searching, but I was able to identify how this 200,000 figure came about. This is January of 2006, and it's in an article in Genetics Journal called The Role of Selection in the Evolution of Human Mitochondrial Genomes. Assuming 6 million years for the human-chimp species split and 6.5 million years for the most recent common ancestor of their mitochondrial DNA lineages, we estimated the average transversion rate as synonymous in rRNA positions. Over all genes in mitochondrial DNA, this would be equivalent to accumulation of one synonymous transition or mutation every 6,764 years on average. In other words, this is a simple mathematical equation. If you assume humans and chimps splitting 6 million years ago, and then you take the total diversity of all the human population on the earth and their mitochondrial DNA, it would then just do the math, just take the 6 million years, divide it by the number of mutations, and it comes out to 6,764 years on average per mutation to happen over that 6 million year time frame. This is an American Journal of Human Genetics, volume 66 in 2000. It says the mutation rate of the mitochondrial control region has been widely used to calibrate human population history. However, estimates of the mutation rate in this region have spanned 2 orders of magnitude. The range of published estimates of the CR or control region mutation rate from phylogenetic studies is 0.025 to 0.26 per site per 1 million years. Now, I want you to pay a little special attention to 0.025. Now, these are phylogenetic studies. It goes on to say in this article that the availability of this new high-throughput sequencing recently has allowed direct estimation of mitochondrial DNA mutation rates, simply by counting the number of mutational events observed in pedigrees. Now, when we say mutation, I'm not talking about humans turning into some other species. These are simply little changes that happen in the DNA that is considered to be a mutation. Now, you have to understand, pedigrees are when you take from one individual and you just go 2 or 3 or 4 generations and then test this other descendant and find out how much actual change occurred. I like to call this reality dating, This is also called pedigree dating, as opposed to phylogenetic dating, which is based on the assumptions of the human and chimp species split 6 million years ago. It goes on, it says, the largest such study to date by Parsons, 1997, reported a mutation rate of 2.5 per site per 1 million years on the basis of 10 mutations in 327 transmission events, principally from mother-child, grandmother, grandchild, or sibling pair comparisons. So what does all this mean? There are some who have their eyes glaze over at this point on this information. What it means is this: phylogenetic dating, which is theory-based, based on the human-chimp species split, average rate of mutation, 0.025 mutations per site per 1 million years. Pedigree dating, which is actually observation-based, the average rate of mutation is 2.5 mutations per site per 1 million years. There is a maximum discrepancy between these two of 2 orders of magnitude, or 100 times faster rate of mutation between the 2 primary DNA dating methods. A phylogenetic mitochondrial DNA date estimate of 200,000 years, as you saw in the previous article, could be as low as only 2,000 years if they were using the pedigree dating rate. And that is critical to understand which type of dating is being used. This is why I used in my previous research the Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. This was in Science back in 1998, called Calibrating the Mitochondrial Clock. In this article, it states this: the researchers have calculated that mitochondrial Eve, the woman whose mitochondrial DNA was ancestral to that of all living people, lived 100,000 to 200,000 years ago in Africa. Using this new clock, and what is the new clock? They found out that the rate of mutation was 26 times faster than what they had originally anticipated, based on the phylogenetic dating. But when they did the pedigree dating, which this is, they found out that because of that rate, if they applied that same rate that they found to what they anticipated or they assumed the rate was, she would be a mere 6,000 years old. No one thinks that's the case. Why doesn't anybody think that's the case? Well, because it goes against the theories of evolution and the theories that are being taught in our schools of higher learning. This is a second witness to this in Trends in Ecology and Evolution. This is November 1997. The hypothetical descent of mankind from mitochondrial Eve has been much debated. Some claim 800,000 years to be an upper limit, while most researchers suggest a date of approximately 200,000 years. They sequenced 610 base pairs from 357 individuals from 134 different independent mitochondrial DNA lineages, and this study found such a high mutation rate would indicate that Eve lived approximately 6,500 years ago, a figure clearly incompatible with current theories on human origins. Now, this is very interesting when you understand that the DNA is showing from the pedigree dating, the reality dating, it's showing a very much younger time frame. Now, does this prove the Bible, to be true? Well, it doesn't prove it, because this is only, the first one with the Tsar was only one lineage. This one was a much bigger sampling, and it came up with a similar figure. But let's go to the Scriptures, because ultimately everything needs to be based on the Scriptures. This is in a situation where we have a Scripture in Doctrine and Covenants, section 77, verses 6 and 7, that talks about the earth's temporal existence. The question is what are we to understand by the book which John saw, which was sealed on the back with 7 seals? Answer: we are to understand that it contains the revealed will, mysteries, and the works of God concerning this earth during the 7,000 years of its continuance, or its temporal existence. Now, does that mean that this earth is only 7,000 years old and all of the rocks in it are only 7,000 years old?